welcome to a terrifying edition of Toonami Pre-Flight.
Wow, your hair looks super crunchy. It's a rough key we got going on at Pre-Flight today.
My Snap-on Playmobil hair is showing. It's my toupee that I think I've asked them to digitally make my hair bigger.
Gotcha.
And your beard longer.
They accidentally made your head bigger.
Whoops. Well, nobody's perfect. It's an imperfect digital world we live in. Today we're going to talk G-Force, a very specific iteration of Gatchaman, all thanks to Turner Broadcasting.
Also known as G-Force.
Yes, with the apostrophe in the middle. We're going to talk about a shitload of media that we're looking forward to in 2017, and I'll give you a little peek into our most recent trip to Japan, specifically some delightful cafes that we attended.
Yep. I also had to murder someone while we were there, but I didn't film that part.
Oh, I filmed it.
Good. So will we see footage of that?
No. That's just in the
okay.
black. That's Blackmail Edition.
Good deal.
Toonami Pre-Flight. But let's talk G-Force. That looks very imposing.
G-Force.
Which I did not realize until I was looking it up for this show that Turner Broadcasting played an integral part in the G-Force. I guess calling it an adaptation, I guess, would be the way to say it, not dub. Battle of the Planets is what I grew up watching.
Mm-hmm. Well, we're both old, so Gatchaman came out in what, 1972?
I think a little 75-ish, probably. I don't think it was quite.
Let's look it up. So Gatchaman came out in the early to mid 70s in Japan, and
Battle of the Planets was
1972, and it was adapted for American television by Carl Masek, the guy who did Robotech, and basically the one guy who was doing this back then.
Yeah, who had the VCR that would play the tapes.
As was common for the time, they adapted the show. They changed a bunch of lines, changed a bunch of characters. Any sexual content or violence was heavily edited because it was pitched for kids. And they named it Battle of the Planets to capitalize on the Star Wars craze that was going on at the time. And it worked because kids like Gil and I was 7 years old, so I was prime age to watch something like this. And I watched it every morning. It was on local affiliate station in upstate New York where I lived and grew up. And I remember distinctly I had a bunch of Legos, and I remember breaking down my Lego kit to make the Phoenix, the ship. And I was super proud of myself for making the Phoenix, because you certainly couldn't get any Battle of the Planets toys.
Yeah,
at that time.
Was pre-Reagan saying, you know what, I don't think we need to worry about selling all these toys to kids. I think that should be totally fine.
Yeah.
So luckily Star Wars changed all that for everyone in the 80s moving forward.
But so then that ran for 80 something odd episodes and ran for a while, but it was definitely it was not my first anime. My first was Force 5, the first one I ever saw. But it was right. They came out around the same time, and they came to American shores around the same time.
Yeah, and you could watch. It was Star Blazers and Battle of the Planets was always on before school.
They were always about, and they were always about. It was all the shows from the early '70s in Japan that took about 5 years to make it over here. We've got a better turnaround these days for Toonami, a year. It's still not perfect, but. So we watched that and grew up with it, and then many years later, not many years later, 10 years later in 1986, Turner redubbed the whole series and basically made a more faithful adaptation that added some of the violence back in and sort of was truer to the original Gatchaman, the Japanese version of the cartoon. And we at Toonami had the opportunity to show that, which they called G-Force. So that's the slightly less Americanized version that ended up not being... It turns out most people in the U.S. either wanted Gatchaman because they wanted the original, or they grew up with the Battle of the Planets, so they loved that. But they
really missed Seven's Arc 7.
Yeah, G-Force was sort of in the middle. And one thing I know, there's a character in G-Force. So G-Force is about a team of 5 pilots who basically travel the galaxy in their ship, righting wrongs, and there's a bad guy who almost always sends out a giant sort of robot, but it looks like an animal creature, to do something horrible to the environment on some planet, and so they just fly around and basically are like, stop him. And their ship can turn into the Phoenix and fire a special weapon, which of course it has to do every episode. And each of the pilots had their own little mini vehicle that they could use.
Also bird related.
Yeah, all bird related. And but the one character had like a speech impediment, and it was sort of a joke, and no one understood why they gave him a speech impediment in the US version. He doesn't have one in Gatchaman. And I didn't know this, but I was reading about the show, and apparently that character was so confusing to people. People just assumed, he must swear a lot in the original version, and so the extra lip flap, they just made him like, because he has this weird stutter. But it turns out that wasn't the reason. So I guess maybe they just thought, we need comedy relief, and he's a goofy character, so
you got to get the wah-wah going.
He's like the Buck Rogers. He's like
Twiggy.
Yeah, beady. He's like one of those dudes. So so we only ran G-Force for like 6 weeks.
G-Force ran on Cartoon Network pre-Toonami, and by the time Toonami launched, it was running pre-Adult Swim, like 3 in the morning on the weekends and everything else. So they pulled it around the time that Toonami started. So then it came back for Midnight Run when Midnight Run was on Saturdays. So we ran it for like a month.
Yeah.
The first month.
I don't remember why, but we were like, let's try G-Force. And I think it just didn't do well. So then we were like moving on.
5 hours to fill, and it was free.
Yeah.
And we liked it.
Yeah.
So it was...
So here is our... We never did a proper promo for it, did we?
No, because we weren't doing breakout promos for the later episodes, the later shows.
So here is our open for G-Force from the Midnight Run.
We'll blast G-Force from the skies!
Firebird mode! Now, Hootie, fly!
This time we've got you, G-Force! Attack!
What a maniac! I'll show him.
We are G-Force!
He's from G-Force. Get him!
What's happening to the ship?
Okay, let's go. G-Force!
Hey, let's go! G-Force has not really been remade. There was a live-action movie, which was not good, not too long ago. But it hasn't been remade it hasn't been updated for modern times, which I am surprised by. It was very popular back in the day, but maybe it's one of those that it's just not.
Doesn't stand the test of time.
Right. It's not necessarily something people want to go back and readapt. But if you're a fan of anime history, you should probably check out Gatchaman. If you are a fan of anime history in the U.S., I think Battle of the Planets is well worth an amusing watch.
Yeah.
There's some funny, dumb stuff. It's a good, it's like watching Speed Racer reruns for us. It's like, oh, yeah. But Gatchaman is probably the superior presentation of the show. I think that's all I got on G-Force, Battle of the Planets, Gatchaman.
Yeah, I think it was an exhaustive anthology report.
So let's move on to our topic for today, which is what media are you looking forward to in 2017? So special caveat, I, and to a lesser degree, Gil, am a media junkie. So I picked more than 3 because some of the stuff I'm looking forward to, there's no video for. So we're going to hop around a little bit. We're going to have some open and free discussion. And then we're going to throw it to Gil.
Some of that.
So my first piece of media I'm looking forward to, as an old school Star Wars nerd, I am very much looking to Star Wars Episode 8.
Duck so they can see the Roman numeral. Boom.
Episode 8.
Sodi V1.
So I'm the reason I'm looking forward to Episode 8. I mean, Episode 7, the last one that J.J. Abrams directed, I thought was good. I enjoyed it. It was a better Star Wars movie than we've seen in a while. I wasn't quite as in love with it as everyone else was.
It was a fun romp.
But I definitely liked it. But I'm really looking forward to Episode 8, mostly because the director, I think it's Ryan, I'm not sure, Ryan Johnson, has directed a bunch of movies I really like. He directed Looper, which I love. He directed Brick, which I really like. So I'm mostly excited because the director on board this time, I think JJ's a good producer, not an amazing director, and I think Ryan Johnson is an amazing sort of visionary director. So I'm excited to see, and everyone, you know, they're hyping it a little bit, but they keep saying this is like the Empire Strikes Back of this trilogy. So I'm excited not only about where the story is, because we begin this movie where the last movie left off with Rey finding Luke Skywalker. So I'm excited about that, but I'm also excited because the director is really, really good. And everyone working on the movie is talking about how excited they are and how they think this is going to be a deeper, better film. So I think for me as a Star Wars nerd, that's exciting. And this is all the footage we have of this right now is this. Look, it's the Millennium Falcon, still around.
I'm excited to make those cranes.
Yeah, I'm going to see, speaking of which, I'm going to be seeing Rogue One with bells on for sure. I'm excited about Rogue One, but I'm even more excited about this one.
Plus, Rogue One won't be in 2017, so it'd be
couldn't talk about
not
it.
Appropriate for the media you're looking forward to next year.
So next up is another science fiction film, and that is, of course, Blade Runner 2049, which is going to be the sequel to the 1982 classic film Blade Runner. The reason I would normally I'm pretty wary of, like anyone else, I would imagine. I'm not of the, this is ruining my childhood school. I think that's the worst shit ever. But I definitely am wary of remakes or updates or sequels or prequels to totally classic movies. And I certainly don't think Blade Runner needs a sequel. It's, you know, in full disclosure, it's one of my favorite movies. So for me, I'm really worried that they'll get it wrong. But the reason I'm cautiously optimistic is that they have stacked the deck pretty well with this edition. They've got the director is the guy who did Arrival, which is everyone's talking about right now, Denis Villeneuve. And he did a movie called Enemy I really like, and he did a movie called Prisoners, and he did Sicario. So he's not done a movie I don't like a lot. I think he's got a really great visual sense. And obviously, I haven't seen Arrival yet, but everyone's talking about how great it is. So hopefully he's really good with science fiction. And then, of course, they have the writer is Hampton Fancher, who's the guy that wrote the original script for the Blade Runner film, and they got Harrison Ford back to reprise his role as Deckard, and they got Ryan Gosling to be, I guess, the new Blade Runner, the younger Blade Runner. So, you know, pretty good cast, really good director, the original writer, Ridley Scott's producing, and he's
not directing.
He's a good producer. I'm glad. He shouldn't direct.
No, I'm saying it as a positive.
Yeah, but he did direct the original, so obviously him being on board will help sort of the things feel like they belong together. And then even the score, you know, it's hard to beat the original Vangelis score, but Sigurjón Singvatsen, who's going to do this score, he did the score for Sicario. He's an amazing composer. So they have all the right pieces. That doesn't mean it's going to be...
That they won't fuck it up.
Yeah, it doesn't mean they won't screw it up, but it means that there's a good chance they won't screw it up. So I would say I'm cautiously optimistic about Blade Runner 2049.
As excitedly cautious.
And next up for me is another movie I'm cautiously optimistic about, and that is Alex Garland's Annihilation. And Annihilation is based on a series of books by a writer named Jeff Vandermeer. Is it Vandermeer, I believe, who wrote those books?
Yes.
And
Sorry, I wasn't paying attention.
it's a trilogy. Cool. It's a trilogy of science fiction, sort of in the... It's kind of hard to explain, but I guess if you like Lovecraft and if you like surreal science fiction, you would probably be into it. I was super into the books, and I'm really excited because, again, Alex Garland is the guy who directed Ex Machina. He's really good and really smart about his science fiction adaptations, and so far the cast is coming together nicely, so it looks like it's going to be a good, faithful, but not faithful to the point of not having any air in it, you know, adaptation. So I'm cautiously optimistic about Annihilation. And
Are you cautiously optimistic about episode 8, or are you just straight up excited?
No, I'm straight up excited about episode 8 because I think that one's going to be really hard for me to not enjoy. Also cautiously optimistic, but this time I have video. I was pleasantly surprised by the Trainspotting 2 trailer. Those of us of a certain age will remember Trainspotting as a pretty seminal movie. I love the shit out of that movie, the Danny Boyle original. I love the book. And so this is a sequel that takes place 20 years later or whatever. It's based on the sequel book by Irvin Welsh called Porno. And they got Danny Boyle back. And so it's sort of like everybody that was involved in the original is back, but they're just all old. But the trailer, and I was still worried about it, but the trailer is pretty good and gives you a pretty good sense that they might be on the right track. So check out this trailer and maybe you guys will agree.
Hello, Mark. So what you been up to for 20 years?
Choose life. Choose Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and hope that someone, somewhere cares.
Missed you, mate.
I missed you too, Spud.
Choose looking up old flames, wishing you'd done it all differently.
Do you still take heroin?
No.
And choose watching history repeat itself.
Hello, Franco. Simon, I'm home.
Choose your future.
Call the police.
What shall I say?
Just tell them we're dead.
Choose reality TV, slut-shaming, revenge porn. Choose a 0-hour contract, a 2-hour journey to work, and choose the same for your kids, only worse. And smother the pain with an unknown dose of an unknown drug made in somebody's kitchen. And then, take a deep breath. You're an addict. So be addicted. Just be addicted to something else. Choose the ones you love. Choose your future. Choose life.
So yeah, it looks like it might be pretty good.
Touch above cautiously optimistic for me.
It depends on the soundtrack.
We should have said, "What are you cautiously optimistic for?"
A lot of it will depend on the soundtrack. I think the soundtrack was a big part of the original, and it's hard to make that jamming soundtrack when you're 20 years older. Next up is a TV show for me. I'm actively excited about this one. So this is based on the Neil Gaiman book. American Gods. He's written 2 books in the American Gods sort of world, and this is a TV show from Brian Fuller, who's the guy who was the showrunner for Hannibal, which is one of my favorite shows of all time, and he is the driving force behind this. And I think this is going to be on Starz.
Yeah.
So this is the trailer for American Gods. I'm pretty excited.
I'm sure Starz is like everyone who says that has a question mark at the end.
Starz? Yeah.
I love you. Something feels weird.
Shadow, we're going to be releasing you a couple of days early. There's no good way to say this, so I'll put it plain. Your wife, she died in the early hours of this morning.
Hey girl, don't lie to me. Tell me, where did you see last night?
So what would I call you if I was so inclined?
Shadow Moon. What might I call you?
What's today?
Wednesday.
Today's my day. I could use a fellow like you. You're my man now.
You know who he is? Who he really is?
He does not know our world.
I'm easing him in.
I think I'm losing my mind. They told me you died.
Who said I died, puppy?
Seems you have a choice. Either the world is crazy, or you are. Come with me.
Yeah, I'm psyched for that.
Yeah,
that Sons of Anarchy song trailer.
Yeah, I mean, the music, that trailer is good, well cut, but the song totally blows. But ignoring that, the footage and the cast look great. Next up is a show called Taboo, and there actually is a trailer. I just forgot to give it to these guys to put in here. So this is a show that's from Tom Hardy. He wrote it and is executive producing it, and it's with the guy who does the showrunner behind Peaky Blinders, which is a BBC show you can also watch on Netflix. And Tom Hardy has been in a couple seasons of Peaky Blinders. And just based on sort of that talent alone, I'm excited because I love Peaky Blinders and Tom Hardy. And this is set in the same era, so it feels like it's kind of a can't miss. So I'm kind of excited for Taboo, as I am for most things Tom Hardy related.
For sure.
And then next up is almost done. Next up is an adaptation of a book I really love called The Terror. And that is about a group of explorers that are stranded in the Arctic. Their ships get caught in the ice, and basically they're slowly starving to death in the frozen wasteland, and then they begin getting attacked by an abominable snowman creature. It's a pretty awesome, dark, seafaring horror sort of novel.
And they're doing this as an anthology, but I don't understand how that's really going to
I think that's easy. That just means this book will be told in one season, and the next season will be probably one other. The guy who wrote the book, Dan Simmons, has a ton of books, and he did one called Drood that sort of reimagines Edwin Drood, which was Dickens' last character. He's done a bunch, so you could probably just do his books if you wanted, but what they'll probably do is just an anthology of weird Victorian horror type stuff. So that's coming to AMC next year. There's nothing on that yet, but I'm excited just because the book was so good that I think it would make a really cool... As I was reading, I was thinking this would make a good movie or TV show.
Which is why you signed on as producer to adapt it for television.
That's why I'm making it, yeah. Next up, we're going to talk about video games, and pretty soon, by now, I think it's coming early next year, is an Xbox Live downloadable called Cuphead. And the thing that's cool about Cuphead is it's basically totally designed to look like an old Disney cartoon or Fleischer cartoon from the 30s and 40s. And it's uncanny how close they got that. So I can't wait to play this game. It just looks so cool. So here's a clip of Cuphead.
A brawl is surely brewing. Now go!
Cuphead looks awesome.
I look forward to playing that with you. It looks
Can't
like
wait.
It's a two-player co-op.
It might be. And then lastly, my last thing I'm looking forward to, there is more, but the last thing I'm going to talk about is...
the last thing I'm looking forward to is Death.
The sequel to Mass Effect, which is Mass Effect Andromeda, which comes out next year. They've shown some video of this, but no real gameplay yet, but I'm excited because I thought the Mass Effect games were awesome, and I thought the story in particular was really cool, so I'm excited. It was one of the only games I could ever say this for. I'm actually excited to see where the story goes. So I can't...
I do think they could call this Mass Effect the pile of shit, and I still would be excited to play it.
Probably. We should give them that marketing note.
think we're doing spots for him. Got a call soon.
Well,
I'll let him know.
Yeah, tell him you have an idea.
Say, I don't know how.
Have you thought about calling it Mass Effect the pile of shit? Do you think that would draw more flies
or maybe
to the shit?
Parenthetically, and then Andromeda.
But that is a lot of the media I'm looking forward to for 2017. Gil?
I thoroughly enjoyed your list. I'm also looking forward to a tremendous amount of those things. I followed a very similar pattern to Jason. I think I did a few fewer, and then also doubled up one of his, so for sure fewer. The first movie that or the first on this list that I'm looking forward to is the Dark Tower movie, which is probably going to end up coming out in 2047, but is allegedly coming out. They pushed it back to into July 2017, directed by Nicolas Arcel. I've sort of purposely stayed away from learning a lot about this movie, which, little fun fact, I used to be pretty intense about that sort of thing. I would get up and walk out of the movie theater when movie trailers would come on.
He would do that, by the way.
Professionally, I've had to sort of ease back on the reins.
I made fun of him a whole lot. It was pretty fun.
Little corner psychoses on that because
Gil doesn't like spoilers, guys. He's really not into spoilers.
If I know I'm going to see something,
it ruins the whole thing. There's surprises everything. Never rewatch anything.
No, that's not true.
Just experiencing it clean is everything.
I want to let the wave of the art break over me for the first time.
You are the worst person alive.
So that seems unfair.
No, I think any of the people in the audience who think it's unfair should sit in movies with you and have you get up and walk out during.
I haven't done that in.
It's true. To be fair, you haven't done that in a long time.
When did Phantom Menace come out? That's the last time I did that.
That's not the last time you did it. You did it since then.
Nah, I don't think so.
That was like the time where we all made a stink and made fun of you for a while about it. But
and it hurt my feelings a lot. You guys are dicks. Anyway, Dark Tower, one of my favorite.
Way we teach you to be better.
Series of books. It's the only way I'll learn. It's
just smack them. If you don't teach,
beating. Negative reinforcement always
positive
works.
Reinforcement doesn't work on Gil, so negative reinforcement does. Sorry. If I tell you, great job, do that again, that doesn't guarantee it'll happen again. But if I tell you, don't fuck that up, you better do it right, then you'll do it.
I feel like I'm having such a breakthrough on the show right now. I don't know if I can finish my list. Dark Tower, can't wait to see it. Hopefully next year, end of July.
Good choice.
Next for me is John Wick Chapter 2, which I'm excited to see in the theater because I slept on the first John Wick in the theater because it just felt like it wasn't going to be as amazing.
Hard to tell from the trailers.
It was.
It was hard to tell from the trailers that it was going to be as good as it was.
So this is a teaser trailer that they've put together.
Look at Keanu has no hair in just this one little spot. I wonder if he.
I can't.
I wonder if they do that on purpose or if he just grows.
That's how I grow my
beard like that.
He grows a better mustache than I do, but that's how I grow mine.
I mean, he grows a better everything than you do. He's Keanu Reeves.
Well, yeah.
To be fair.
Let's check him out in this teaser trailer.
Welcome to Rome. Is this a formal event or a social affair?
Social.
How many buttons?
2.
And what style?
Tactical. Mr. Wick, do enjoy your party. How good to see you again so soon.
You have no idea what's coming.
You want a war? Or do you want to just give me a gun? Whoever comes, I'll kill them all.
The man, the myth, the legend. John Wick. You're not very good at retiring.
I'm working on it.
Yes. So that comes out in February 2017. Originally, I was going to also do Blade Runner 2049, but that's because my reading comprehension skills are not what they once were, and Jason had already done Blade Runner 2049. But I'm also looking forward to it, so if you're scoring at home, put that one down for me as well. So last for me for movies is Valerian and the City of a Thousand Planets. Luc Besson's movie that's now coming out July, I believe, 2017. And they just put out this trailer for it, so let's check that out.
Home sweet home.
Because the sky is blue, it makes me cry. Because the sky is blue. Because the wind is high, it blows my mind.
We get on just great. You flirt. I smile.
Yeah, we're a team.
So yeah, it looks like it's going to be a
Curious
fun
to
ride.
see if audiences will reject it or accept it. John Crapper of Mars and
Yeah.
Jupiter Ascending both also had
Descending.
similar
Time travel.
high fantasy, big money things that no one had heard of and ate shit. So I wonder if Valerian will survive that curse, hopefully.
They'll get 14 of my dollars at the beginning. We'll see if that's enough to buoy them on to success. Making the transition from the big to the small screen. Do you see what I did there? Is
Pretty great. Pretty great.
Season 3 of Twin Peaks.
I almost put this on my list.
I was
but-
surprised you didn't.
Well, I figured
to the point where I was like, oh, maybe I also misread the
I
list
hogged
again.
a bunch of other stuff, so that's just left. I left it for you.
So this is allegedly coming in 2017.
I believe it will.
To Showtime. The last thing I think they announced time-wise was second quarter, which seems like an oddly unspecific time.
I think David Lynch is basically in total control, and he's like, "I'll give it to you when it's done," and they are just like,
Yeah.
"Okay," and that means
Sounds good.
sit on it till the shit is done.
Yeah.
So it's going to be a while. I know that they're done shooting, and that he's been editing for a while. So
Yeah, since the
they shot for
summer-ish.
4 months, a long time, 4 or 5 months.
I would say that when this was announced, I would say I was cautiously optimistic, and I'm moving beyond that the closer we get to the
I
time.
mean, as long
So
as
we'll
it's
see.
David Lynch, I'm 100% optimistic. He's never made anything I didn't find at least interesting, and I love the shit out of Twin Peaks, so I can't imagine I'm not going to enjoy myself.
Yeah, I hate being hurt. I've been hurt so many times.
I know, it's going to be okay.
Speaking of being hurt so many times, next for me
Wow.
is the...
I don't understand that transition.
Yeah, sometimes you just got to roll with them.
Okay.
Carlton Cuse run Amazon show, the as yet untitled Jack Ryan television series, which could very well be a total piece of shit, but I look forward to
Beardo
seeing
Krasinski.
John Krasinski as Jack Ryan. I've enjoyed his recent turn as Ass Kicker.
I never watched that movie.
Ass Kicker is great.
No, the Benghazi movie.
Yeah, no, it was pretty good. This is coming. They were saying late summer, which I think probably is, depending on where you live, July, August-ish. But I think it's giving them a little fudge factor later on. I don't really know much about this beyond John Krasinski, Jack Ryan.
You just love the shit out of John Krasinski.
I want to see a new Jack Ryan series, and I like John Krasinski. So I wouldn't care if it was a movie. I would be equally excited. I don't know, TV show. Maybe that's going to end up being a little more Jack Ryan than I actually need, but we'll see how it goes.
I'm not a big fan of Tom Clancy works myself, so I like John Krasinski though.
You don't like
Hunt for Red October is a good.
For Christ's sake?
Hunt for Red October is a great movie.
You don't like the Ghost Recon video games?
I don't like it as much as you like it. I get tired of guys standing around talking technobabble, yelling at each other. White guys just. It gets kind of boring to me.
Well, maybe you won't like it.
It's a good probability.
Next for me is the David Fincher Netflix series Mindhunter.
Mindhunter with the stupidest name in the fucking world.
It is a terrible title, but it's based on the book.
He's a mind hunter. He hunts the minds.
Set in the 70s about FBI agents who interview serial killers in order to solve crimes, which seems like a familiar plot to me. But we'll see where that goes.
Yeah.
David Fincher's moving away from always getting the pass.
Oh, yeah, for sure for me. He's definitely moving away from it.
But I'm still willing to give him...
It'll look good. If he produces a show, it always looks good. But, House of Cards is a piece of shit, and he produced that. So.
Yeah. He's directing some of these...
Yeah, so probably the ones he directs will be worth watching, and then who knows after that.
So I'm excited to see the first episode. We'll see where it goes from there. And last in the television category for me, and I think I might actually be able to watch this show, which is another little nugget of why I'm looking forward to it, and that is Legion.
Can you normally not watch a show you're excited about?
Well, he has
mental difficulties. Oh, right, your fragile brain. Yeah.
But I feel like Matthew Crawley is going to be the one to bring me out of my backwards little mind corner, and I'm excited to see what Noah Hawley...
It's good to have goals.
Fargo fame, most recently, does with this. This is coming, I think February. I didn't write it down, but February feels
soonish.
Right to me.
If there's already teasers
they're running,
on TV. Yeah,
the spots for it. So I think it'll be good. This is, I believe we have said trailer. I'm getting the nod. So yes, let's check it out.
Just tell me what happened next.
Look, I don't know. It's fuzzy. You went off your medication.
Wake up.
Why?
We're just looking for the truth. Which you promised to tell.
I told you they took her.
Sydney Barrett, the girl who disappeared.
She didn't disappear. She took my place, and I took hers.
Wait, what?
It was her power, I think. Can you explain that?
So is he crazy, or...? Continue. He believes he's mentally ill. But he may be the most powerful mutant we've ever encountered.
Can we take a break? Please?
Of course. Let's take a break. Stop. We can skip that part. Unless you think it's relevant to...
No. I mean, we don't have to.
Okay. Let's talk about it.
Look at me. I know what I am. What's that?
Yeah, I like Noah Hawley, so I'm going to check it out. Don't care about mutants, but...
Yeah. So he's the son of Charles Xavier.
God, you just gave it away!
Sent to the mental hospital because he was too powerful.
They just voices in his brain like Gil, but they're not. They're from special powers, not from being an insane fuck like Gil.
Right. So,
weigh the options.
Yin and yang. Next for me is in the video game category. Hot off the success of the 2006 game Prey comes the sequel to Prey
10
called
years
Prey.
later. Did you play the 2006 one?
Yeah.
I never played it.
So this is from Arcane and Bethesda, most recently of Dishonored collaboration. And this is You're trapped. You're Morgan. You're trapped in a space station, and it's a sort of RPG shooter, and you basically just have to find things around the space station and kill aliens, which is my own personal fantasy come true.
Sounds fun.
I think it should be a success. That is listed as December 29th, 2017, which isn't the total bullshit date of December 31st, 2017, which you know is going to get pushed back.
I don't think it's going to make that
so
date.
I do hope that for Jason's birthday, I'm able to play Prey.
I don't think it will happen.
I think this may end up making it onto the media you're looking forward to in 2018 list.
If it does, remind me to make fun of you for putting it on this list. 1 year from now, when we're back here doing this again.
And the last on my list for video games that I'm looking forward to is Horizon Zero Dawn from Guerrilla Games, the people who made Killzone. Let's check out the trailer.
Let's check out the footage.
See what happens.
Here we go.
Horizon Zero Dawn is simultaneously a role-playing game that plays like an action game. We're known for our first-person shooter series, Killzone, and storytelling in an open world and in an RPG is not something that we had done before. But I think all of us, we really welcome it as just a wonderful opportunity to create something that's so fresh, so new. It's a wonderful challenge for us.
This game has a lot of different ecotopes, as we call them. Each of the ecotopes come with their own machines to discover, and their own machines basically with their own behaviors and what they're doing in that environment. We've shown at E3 basically our sort of more foresty, fall-like environment, but we also have deserts in the game, we have high mountain peaks completely covered in snow, we have jungle in the game, we have loads of different environments, and of course a really big part of it is also the ancient ruins that we have in the game, which are again a completely different sort of atmosphere and setting. So the game has a full day-night cycle, but on top of that there's also a very dynamic weather system. So you get the types of weathers that belong to certain ecotopes. And that of course also has an influence on the gameplay. It reduces visibility or makes certain things harder, certain things might also be easier. So there is a large component of how the look and the weather and the day cycle basically impacts your experience as a player. The transition from Killzone to Horizon has been really interesting, both from an artistic point of view as well as technically. When we're making Killzone, we're making linear levels or serpentine levels. Maybe you walk through them, but we have very tight control. And that's completely different in an open world. But the player has a lot more freedom to approach things the way that they want to see it. So we really had to basically start looking at the world from a 360 point of view. Basically looking at all the different directions that the player could approach, how things would look, basically how the vistas would look, and all these different aspects.
So I'm looking forward to that. I think it's going to be cool.
When does it come out?
February 2017.
Soonish.
Yeah. What? Not quite 5 months from now.
As opposed to December 29th.
Yeah. I still think I got my fingers crossed. Pray. I'm thinking more like November 29th.
Let's go to the Adult Swim Facebook results and see what your favorite media that you're looking forward to. Rick and Morty, Fully Cooley, thanks for the loyalty. Samurai Jack, Twin Peaks, and the Nintendo Switch, all of which are, I think, good choices for the most part. And then let's look at the Toonami Facebook picks for media you guys are looking forward to. Samurai Jack, Rick and Morty, Nintendo Switch, Young Justice, which was just announced, and Star Wars Episode 8, My People.
Solid work.
Yeah.
Facebooks.
Yep. No snarkiness.
People don't fuck around with their media that they're looking forward to.
They don't. So this, let's just go to our sneak peek, which is a look at Intruder 3. And is it episode 2 or 3?
2. 3 runs Saturday. We're looking backwards to set up looking forwards.
Okay.
It's our sneak re-peek.
Okay, so that's right. This is the sneak
We're
peek.
not going to sneak the
So this is
episode.
another sneak peek for Intruder 3. Episode 3 airs this Saturday. A lot of changes happen in that episode, so make sure to tune in. But for now, here you get a little taste.
Leaving the base was a bad decision, Tom. Huh? Wait a minute, we've got guns? Where'd we get guns? become such a crack shot, Sarah?
Not my shooting, Tom. The creature triggered some kind of automatic defense system. The weapons must be operated somewhere inside the base.
Well, any chance you can find it and shut it down before this thing wakes up? Or the station decides to target me?
Performing system sweep now. In the meantime, please try not to move. Just in case.
I'm not sure that's gonna be possible. Told ya! The guns, Sarah! The guns!
Still attempting to locate the defense system control center. Hang tight.
Sarah, open the hatch. Pretty please. Listen, guys. I'm the kind of heartburn your mother's warned you about. You really don't want to... Whoa! I had him right where I wanted him, you know.
Welcome back, Tom. While you've been playing with your new friends, I followed the power systems of the gun batteries to a control unit connected to a secondary server on level 49 of the base.
I thought the station only had 10 levels. Didn't we explore the whole thing?
It appears there are 49 levels, which were sealed off at level 10 and powered down. I had no idea they existed until the defensive batteries came online and popped up in my matrix. I'm integrating the additional systems now. This base appears to have some other purpose. New sensors are coming online too, and they're showing dangerous seismic activity all around us. There's been a hull breach, and we've got movement on the lower levels.
Mystic seismic activity?
Possibly, but it is more likely that we have an intruder.
Oh, right. Of course we do. This place is a creep show.
Sensors show the hull breach right ahead of you.
Can't confirm a visual yet. It's got to be around here somewhere.
Intruder 3 continues next Saturday night at midnight. Only Toonami on Adult Swim.
So far, people seem to be enjoying it, which I'm glad about since we worked really hard on it.
Yeah.
And there will be a comic after it. So keep watching for more news about that. And now we're going to talk about, because we were asked by several people, what the hell were you doing in Japan?
Most of them were coworkers.
So we were working, but during the downtime from our working, we also had time to do a few fun things. So we can just play that footage behind us while we talk, or you can play it in front of us while we talk. So we went to an owl cafe. So in Tokyo, you can go to a place and get green tea or coffee, and you sign some forms, and then you can go in a little room and pet a bunch of owls that they have. And these were amazing, beautiful owls. This is all stuff Gil took with his phone, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
And
my phone shoots video now. It's amazing.
I didn't remember you shooting in landscape mode, but I guess you were thinking ahead.
I only shoot in landscape mode, Jason. That's how our eye sees
I shot photos,
the world.
but we're not seeing any of my photos, just your video.
Well, I think you know how your photos turned out.
I think they turned out great, but they're not video.
I think we also have some.
Look how grainy and shitty that is, Gil. You could have done better. So they were
zoomed in, shooting over.
They were feeding them while we were there, and it was pretty great, though. It was pretty fun. Only in Japan things for sure. Indeed. You're not going to be seeing an owl cafe here, but they also have hedgehog cafes. We found out, which I don't think I would be so into.
No.
There's Gil now. There he is.
With my glove on, and that owl really enjoyed being
petted,
loved on.
Yeah, touched. Some of them did, some of them didn't. The big ones,
you learned out which ones didn't.
Yeah, the big guys were not so into being touched, but the little guys, were into having their heads rubbed and stuff. So that was.
Did we have the selfie that Jason took?
Pretty fun. No, it seems like everyone's just totally focused on Gil's footage.
Seems like someone's a little...
Look, there's another shot that Gil took.
Those are not my hands, though.
You're lying. Those are your hands.
I was holding the... I can't take a picture and have both hands on the owl. That doesn't make any sense.
And did we have any footage from the other thing we did, which is the Gudetama Cafe, or did we just focus on owls?
No, I believe we have both. That was one of the owl's little...
No, the crew is looking at me like they have no clue what I'm talking about, even though we gave them 40 pictures of the Gudetama Cafe, but
we could probably cut it in.
Maybe they just didn't use any of my
2
pictures at all. Did you take pictures of the Gudetama Cafe?
Yeah, and it was in the second folder marked Gudetama Cafe on the drive.
We tried to make it easy for people by labeling it and telling them what we wanted in there, but it was too much for our crew to be able to pull off in the limited time available of 12 hours.
Perhaps in the...
we do a
postmortem
for episodes. Sometimes we'll do a postmortem on this one.
No, I mean I think that we'll probably odds are by the time that people are watching this episode, those same Gudetama
we went to
pictures will be shown.
It's true.
Right now.
So we went to.
This is a picture of the pancakes that I had.
You're just gonna make that happen. Were they good?
Yeah, they were pretty good. They were berry, and then they were also chocolate, which seemed like an odd choice.
Yeah, the food was not great. The Gudetama Cafe, the food looks amazing, but you're just going there because you love the character of Gudetama. It doesn't actually taste very good.
Gudetama impressions of famous paintings.
Yeah. Gil likes post-production.
I don't remember what pictures you had.
Oh, it doesn't matter because they only used your pictures because evidently I bothered to bring them over and put them on a drive for no reason at all. So now I know better. I'll just have Gil do it.
What? Lesson learned.
On our next trip, we'll make sure Gil takes more photos of the things I'm interested in as well as the things he's interested in.
I will do a better job
we
of
can
taking
see that.
more pictures of
would
your
you
stuff.
just? Yeah, I mean, Jesus.
I think we'll at least have one picture of Jason's from the Gudetama Cafe.
So we were there working on Fooly Cooly, which we aren't able to talk about right now, but is going very well and we're excited about. We will have more to show you further down the line of that. But in our free time, we did a bunch of goofy shit like we always do. So the next time we come back from Japan, we will hopefully have some more show-related stuff to talk about. But right now,
less of Jason's pictures.
Right now, we won't have any of mine. That we know that ahead of time.
I think.
But for now, we talk about Owl Cafe and Gudetama. So that's what we did in Japan, aside from hard work. Lots of hard work.
Indeed. Jet lag.
So let's talk about the last thing we have today, which is this week's Adult Swim single, which is a new song from The Body. Take your time. I guess we don't have a page for it yet, but we will in post. A lot of this show is going to come together in post, folks. But we have a track from The Body, and that is live as you see this episode. So go to adultswim.com/singles. You can get that and another roughly 29 weeks worth of songs that we put out for free. So check it out. Now Sean wants to be accurate. 26 weeks of songs.
Certain details.
Yeah, certain details escape Sean,
Stickler.
and then others he's a real stickler for. 31 weeks. Okay, yeah, great. Obviously, we don't know what the hell we're doing, so let's just...
I think
there's
it's
a bunch of songs.
26 weeks plus the bonus 5 weeks.
Yeah, it's a shit ton of songs. Go get them. They're all great. We think you'll enjoy at least some of them. And that wraps up today's awful, messy episode of Toonami Pre-Flight. We will be back next week with something special.
Tune in. It is special. It's going to be fun.